I just ended up going down a rabbit hole of our Fight Club. My response was revolution. What would a revolution look like in this day of age? Here's what a modern revolution could look like, depending on the cause. If you fuck around with one person, then you're gonna fuck around with all of us. If it's a major change that they're gonna do, it's a major change that we're gonna do. I am scared for the future, but I'm not scared for purpose. Hey guys, hey, welcome back to another episode of I'm Just Sharing with Shaunda. I'm your girl Shaunda. Am I your girl though? Who knows? I've been gone. And they'd be like, well, you ghosted for like 3 Thursdays. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't know what happened. Actually, I do know what happened. I've been actually trying to balance, work-life balance, getting home, preparing in preparation in order to record. But it has been a fail, so it takes time to get on this track. It doesn't really click, and I'm understanding that, and I'm learning. And that's the best that I can do for myself. So am I happy to be here? Hell yeah. So what am I talking about today? Well, I've been wanting to make sure that what I'm going to be talking about is very authentic, very different, very me. And again, the I'm Just Sharing with Shaunda is me sharing my opinions and thoughts on what's going on with certain events or just whatever that's happening in my life, because everything is a learning experience, right? But I also feel that what I have been seeing, consuming, learning is revolution and time is now type of deal. So I'm just going to hop right into it with everything that's going on. And what the talk about is now, so if you are on YouTube, first I do have a mustard. Sorry, I always been saying, anytime I say mustard, it's mustard. It's no. But I just have to say that. That just leads me into say the Super Bowl, everybody saw it. For what I've seen, that 133.5 million people has tuned into the Super Bowl halftime show to see what's up. Of course, go Birds. I'm not a fan, but respect to that team. They definitely deserve that win. It was beautiful. But the Super Bowl halftime show was the talk of the town. And it's going to be the continued talk because of the symbolism. And from what I've seen, all behind the Super Bowl and what Kendrick Lamar did is what is talked about capitalism and economics and socialism, everything. And what's going on in this world is from what I'm understanding. With everything that I've seen, and I think if you have not educated yourself on the symbolism behind the Super Bowl and Kendrick Lamar's performance, you should definitely. There's a lot of people who talk about it. Here, I touch base on it. I'm not going to really touch base because too much because of what I thought about it and what leads me into saying it made me think about Fight Club. And that it has been moves and acts towards a revolution, quote unquote revolution. And I started to think about Fight Club. And if you haven't seen Fight Club, just a little synopsis of this, from what I've seen about summaries on IMDb, thank you. And insomniac office worker and the devil may care soap maker form an underground fight club that evolves into much more. There's a lot of descriptions of this movie on here, and I didn't want to get too much into it. I just used the top one that I see, so shout out to them, thank you. But it made me think about how he talked about the number one rule about Fight Club is to not talk about Fight Club. Don't talk about Fight Club. The second rule is just never talk about Fight Club. But it made me think in how Fight Club got big, everybody talked about it. I feel like everybody had to talk about it. And reverse psychology, don't talk about something, you're going to talk about something to anybody. And in that movie, I just feel like what he done to create it was a whole movement. And I feel like with Kendrick Lamar and the Super Bowl, and actually what's already been happening before this, we have to talk about the changes that are at B. And I feel like in this day and age, you see everything on your phone, on TV, on your phone, on laptops, any way, technology, there's a camera, there's regular people talking about it, there's celebrities talking about it, there's politicians that talk about what is going on in the world. So that's the front facing of it, right? And it just made me think about the back end, behind the scenes, in the movie Fight Club, on like how this man was able to get men involved in the movement, but them still doing their regular jobs, but who they still represent and what they're doing. That it was part of a movie where they're in this like big politician area. They had to like get the guy to tell him to stop doing something. But it's the fact that the people that were working, people who were workers, the restaurant, the security guards, there were police officers, there were just people that were still part of Fight Club. So he always had the in anywhere, you know, like it was just a thing that they knew. And it just made me think about how in real life, there's good and bad at work always, positive, negative, always at work, always, either in the front end or behind the scenes. And I feel that with what's going on, we have to talk about it. Mostly like what it made me think about when I'm learning is DEI, and knowing that that is being taken away. And I think from what I've seen, the top two companies is Walmart, Target, and how they folded under pressure. And it's slowly seeing other companies who are also doing the same thing, and how we as people have to not support this. And it seems very crazy to do it because like these are like the top things, depending on your location, or they're everywhere we go to, and all of our supplies that are there. So now we have to learn where others are and support other small owned businesses who actually like can sell the same products but still involve DEI in their policies. So knowing that with the front facing in politics already having a change in this and already having a say in DEI in a way, that we as people are also having a say in DEI in our way and pivoting on what's right and what we need to do. So at the end of the day, it just seems like we will be all right because we always figure out a way. That is what we do as people. We adapt to change. So if it's a major change that they're going to do, it's a major change that we're going to do. And I guess I just ended up going down a rabbit hole of our Fight Club, if that makes sense. I ended up going to ChatGPT and just asking ChatGPT because it's just a resource, a very big resource, and a couple of answers of how we could make change, right? I just got into it. So I said, hey there, remember, be respectful for any AI tech. We don't know how they're going to look like in the future. And, you know, be safe out there. So I say, hey there, if you could change the biggest problem in the world, how would you change it? It says, hey, that's a big question. If I had the power to change the biggest problem in the world, I'd tackle inequality, whether it's economic, educational, or access to basic needs like healthcare and clean water. One way to change it: massive investment in education and technology for undeserved communities. If more people had access to quality education, resources, and opportunities, a lot of other issues, poverty, crime, and even some health crises, would start to solve themselves over time. But what about you? What would you change? I didn't answer that immediately because I needed more information. So I asked a question with a question. How would one have a massive investment in education and technology? How is that possible? It says, good question. A massive investment in education and technology would take a mix of public, private, and community-driven efforts. Here's how it could happen. Before I get into this, it's just crazy how, like, again, we're slowly seeing that it's publicly, privately, that we're seeing this. And I have to, like, shout out to TikTok that even though TikTok has died and came back and didn't come back the same, there's a way to make sure that your TikTok is somewhat the same as we had it before. But from what I've been seeing is people using TikTok, again, YouTube and TikTok, but TikTok being most that everybody has their hands in it, as an educational resource to educate themselves on what's going on politically, socially, economically. Like, there is TikTok and so many people and teachers who are on there. Even regular people are teachers. Like, again, we all take opinion from everybody and learn something from somebody, and TikTok, it has been that for a group of people, and it has been nice. Some has been positive, some's been negative, but people are learning in their own way. It's crazy. But shout out to TikTok. There's this Black woman who created a Hillman Talk University, and it blew up, and a lot of people who are very much educated, who are professors, who were teachers, who like really are given the time and energy to teach people. That knowing that there is a lack in schools, that there can be a gain on TikTok and what you can learn on there. And a lot of people have learned a lot using TikTok that is very much more resourceful. And I feel that like what you definitely learn in school, like it's educational, but like learning how to do taxes, buying a house, fixing your credit. There's been multiple things that I've definitely learned on TikTok, and other people have learned on TikTok more and gained more from TikTok than what they've been in school for. So I felt that that has been a very huge thing that a lot of people are taking advantage of. But back to this, ChatGPT gave me 4 of how it could happen. So it said 1, government prioritizing education and tech. 3 bullet points that they gave was relocating budgets, less spending on unnecessary projects, and more on schools, teacher salaries, and internet infrastructure. 2nd bullet, universal internet access, making Wi-Fi a public utility so all students can access online learning. 3, free or affordable education, more funding for scholarships, vocational training, and public schools. When I read that, I immediately was like, well, that's a fail. From the dude that's in the house, is just making sure that that isn't a priority. So I said, well, let's keep reading. 2, it said big tech and private sector involvement. 2 bullet points they gave, tech giants funding initiatives. Companies like Google, Microsoft, and Tesla already invest in education. This could be scaled up with grants and free resources. The 2nd bullet was public-private partnerships, businesses working with schools to provide tools, mentorships, and hands-on experience in tech fields. I also said this was because like from what I've seen, Google, Microsoft, Tesla, not so much. I think I equaled Tesla into the other dude that it's in the house who runs that, and they're just making sure that education goes another way. I just said that seemed like for that. 3, it said grassroots and local efforts. 2 bullet points for this said nonprofits and community-driven projects, crowdfunding, NGOs, and local mentorship programs to teach digital skills. The 2nd bullet point was micro schools and e-learning hubs, small, flexible education models with self-paced learning powered by tech. There's a lot of people who create courses. There's a lot of people, again, on TikTok who are able to make these smaller things happen. It's just the way how the education and what you're learning about. Hopefully they're making it a priority, prioritizing what needs to be learned to get somewhere, to get the result that people are looking for. So I just hope that is also being used. I gave that a thumbs up. I feel like that is definitely a thing that could happen. 4, it said innovative tech solutions, AI-powered learning, personalized education that adapts to students' needs. 2nd bullet point, low-cost devices, affordable tablets, laptops for students like Google initiatives in Africa. The 3rd bullet point was VR and AR for hands-on learning, making education engaging with accessible from anywhere. This was a mid thumbs up. Like, it was definitely in the middle for me. I definitely like the low cost devices. When I was working at AT&T, the most affordable tablet or phone to me was definitely a Samsung tablet. I felt that Samsung tablets and them making sure that they update their tablets, but still at an affordable cost, like $199 is not bad. I was like, oh, okay. There was some that was $180 and it was a new tablet that just came out that year. So I was like, so there is affordable tablets out there that people can use to educate themselves in having this. And the system that is on there can be AI powered. The way how modern we are getting and technology evolving at the pace that it is and we're catching up, I definitely feel that AI will be a huge thing in the future to education and all that good jazz. So it said, is it possible? It just takes prioritization, investment, and collaboration. What do you think? Would you take a different approach? My response was revolution, ? What would a revolution look like in this day of age? It says, a revolution today wouldn't necessarily look like the old school uprising with pitchforks and torches. It would be digital, decentralized, and systemic rather than purely physical. Here's what a modern revolution could look like, depending on the cause. 1, digital and information warfare. 3 bullet points. Hacktivism and cyber protests. Groups like Anonymous already show how digital disruption can challenge governments and corporations. Imagine large-scale coordinated cyber protests. 2nd bullet point. Decentralized communication. Encrypted apps like Signal and blockchain networks could power underground movements without centralized control. 3rd bullet point. AI power influence, bots, deepfake videos, and social media campaigns could shape public opinion faster than ever before. And from what we see slowly, we see that it is forming. We see how social media is used. We're seeing how certain campaigns are run. It takes a lot of time and energy into getting that done. And a lot of people, attention spans are very short. So also trying to figure out the attention span for people and making sure that we still grab them and making sure that things are educational and informative all at the same time is very challenging. But again, we adapt. There's always a way and people still have time. So I feel like that's cool. So it said the second thing, economic and financial revolution. 2 bullet points it gave, crypto and decentralized finance. If enough people abandon traditional banks for decentralized finance, it could completely shift power away from centralized institutions. 2nd bullet point, mass worker strikes and universal basic income, UBI movements. If workers worldwide refuse to work for unfair wages, industries would collapse or be forced to change. This completely huge. It made me think about with the crypto, everybody is still old school. There's still people who don't believe in banks and don't believe in putting their shit in banks and their money in banks. It's just too much. Slowly, as we're learning, a lot of people are like, make sure that you keep your money outside the bank. So we can be a little bit old school. But learning, if people are willing to learn crypto and how to make money that way, then they really wouldn't have a grasp. They, meaning the gov, wouldn't really have a grasp on like what to do and making laws around that. But if we move faster before them, I feel that change could happen. It could be very, very big and massive change. The mass worker strikes. It's been really, really interesting to see. There was a person that I was watching and she explains of this man that was working and they fired him. He just did a job and they fired him. They didn't pay him and they took his equipment. The people that were behind the man, they ended up stopping work, taking their equipment and messing up whatever work that they did before and left. And that company had to be like, whoa, well then, we only meant it to be one person. We didn't want all of you, but it's like, nah, if you fuck around with one person, then you're going to fuck around with all of us. because you just showed your hand to one person. We're not going to sit with this. We're not going to sit with this. We're going to make change. And that makes you have to change because you need me. And I feel like with how things are going, if we just put all of ourselves together in this movement and make shit happen and not be too scared and have the balls to really take ourselves in a lot of shit that we like put ourselves in, because we're like 10 toes down into what we already have in our foundation. But the way how everything is going, I feel like it is slowly showing us that we slowly need to not put our eggs all in one basket, and now it's time to like move our eggs, that we're willing to move our stuff. And once they see that, they need us, you know what I mean? I hope that makes sense. I'm still going to continue because I'm going to like break that down a little bit more. The third thing he put was social and political upheaval, mass nonviolent resistance, civil disobedience, large-scale boycotts, and refusal to comply with unjust systems. Parallel societies is a second bullet point. Communities forming self-sustaining networks outside government control. Cooperatives, barter systems, independent tech. Third bullet point, AI-driven governance. It said, could people trust an AI-powered decision-making system over corrupt politicians? Some might push for it. And in this way, what is there to lose? At this point, I don't trust anybody. Actually, and this is like also the talk of the town, and like how people talked about like, oh, I voted for Trump and he said that he wasn't gonna do it. They didn't believe it. And then him actually doing this, it's like, well, I'm like, what did you think? The man was lying? Like, he lied on certain things, but he made for damn sure what he wanted the true thing. And now that it's happening, people are like, whoa, maybe I made the wrong choice. So that has been a very interesting thing to see. It's been a very interesting conversation that I've heard or had with people of this whole thing. So would I trust an AI? I think I would choose that, yes, over the actual human being that's in office, whose wants and needs are way different from mine. We'll keep going from that. The fourth one, it's an environmental revolution. 2 bullet points that it gave: radical green tech adoption, governments and businesses forced to go 100% renewable through massive public pressure. Second point, eco-sabotage and direct action. Groups actively dismantling harmful industries. Think targeted activism against fossil fuel companies. It continues. Would a modern revolution be violent? Not necessarily. It would likely be a battle of technology influence and economic disruption rather than just people taken to the streets. What kind of revolution do you think the world would actually need? So it made me think about World War III and how people are like, oh my gosh, it's going to be World War III. I can't believe I'm going to be in this time of age and me living at my age that World War III can happen. One part of me thought like, oh my gosh, World War III, there's going to be military people who are in the military. When that call happens, that they have to show up. Yes. And when I think World War III is more on the battlefield, guns, disruption, weapons, bombs, everything, right? It made me think of that. Other end that I thought of like World War III was exactly this, more of it being technical and it being more digital, and seeing it that way, because the way how technology and everything is like changing, it seems like that is more of an investment of wanting to fight more against, wanting to have a war over this is a thing in this modern age. I am very scared about the future, but from what I am seeing, what I am learning, and what I said before is that I can't move in fear. I am scared for the future, but I'm not scared for purpose. And I feel like with what everybody is trying to do is find a purpose on like why we're here and what we're doing, what the results will be and what that purpose looks like. So I know that moving with a purpose, I'm not going to be afraid of. I'm not going to be scared to make change for this purpose. And how slowly things, again, that's being changed front facing, but even on the back end, that there is still movement, there is still progress. So I guess I am more positive about the outcome of what purpose looks like, of what that looks like. I don't know what the future will hold, and I don't want to think about it. But the only thing that I do want to think about is the purpose that I'm trying to gain, and the purpose of like what everybody is trying to go for. I want to live peaceful, and that's what it seems like. I want to live peaceful. I want to live equally. I want to live sustainably. I want to be able to sustain my life. I want to live the way how it was before, knowing that one job, I'm able to still afford food, house, and a car, and maybe a dog. But knowing that that is a time that was lived in past, that I have to try to adapt on what that new look would look like. And currently it's just not it. So I guess it leads me to say that, the number one rule before was to not talk about Fight Club, but we have to talk about Fight Club in order to unionize and move together as one. So the big guys will look at us and be like, okay, we still need these. We still need them. It shouldn't be, we need y'all, So I'm really hoping that like really resonates with people. And I hope that people understand like where I'm coming from in this moment. So if you do, please remember to comment or DM me about what you thought about this episode. You can email me at imjustsharingpod@gmail.com and tell me what you thought about this, and tell me what you think about these points in a revolution. I believe it's possible. I'm just curious on what you think, so please share with me. And also remember to rate, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, Apple, Spotify, and my YouTube page. I'm happy to see the number go up. So I shall see you guys in the next episode. Bye.